Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
You and your money on the morning drive right now. Here's the situation. The geopolitical events that we've all been witness to have meant uncertainty. There is an air of volatility, of course. As of March the 4th, yesterday, the UAE's financial landscape is kind of at a wait-and-watch juncture. I think that's the best way to describe it. Following the de-escalation of the 48-hour trading halt, that was March the 2nd and the 3rd, markets reopened to something like 4.7% drop on the DFM. Gold has surged over 10 grams in a single day here in the UAE, and oil prices, of course, are up. So we're in, I think the phrase we used yesterday was a holding pattern. That's probably still reasonable to say. James Thomas is here, independent financial consultant. James, nice to see you.
Good morning.
I would observe what a 5 days it's been.
Certainly been eventful. I know it's not to belittle things. Just looking at it from financial perspective, yeah. I mean, it's, again, another position of uncharted territory, you know. And again, without wishing to be political, it seems to be an ongoing theme of the current administration in America and its ripples around the world.
It does seem that way. I mean, let's look locally. UAE central banks held the base rate at 3.65%. Oil-driven inflation spiking this week. Does that mean savings accounts are... I mean, effectively, there's a loss in value there, isn't there?
Yes.
That's how it looks.
Yes. I mean, again, like you said in the intro, still very early to say.
It is.
And I'm hesitant to use a holding pattern, but yes, that's certainly the advice I am giving to my clients at the moment. Let's not panic. While it's very easy to overreact, to react, it's still too early to say, and I think we're all clearly hoping for a very swift resolution, and then we could find that things very quickly from a financial perspective, and that's what obviously I'm focusing on, return to largely normal situation. I mean, you mentioned some of the headlines there. The one that you didn't mention, and I think deserves some airtime, is the LNG, the liquefied natural gas.
Yes.
Obviously, Qatar being a producer of 20% of the world's LNG, that is in relatively short supply, and obviously that has seen a huge spike in its futures price.
That's right. Whereas, after a very cold winter,
yes, and obviously supplies are traditionally been utilised over that winter in the Northern Hemisphere. While oil, up until recently, certainly my understanding is there's been an oversupply, so which is why prices have been historically quite low. Yeah. So the oil price has not reacted quite so significantly, and again, obviously, if this were to continue, then I'm sure we would see that sadly go up further. Oil, gas. So start again. Gold, as you mentioned, that has gone up again, just because of its intrinsic store of value. People are rushing back to that. Obviously, we had only a couple of weeks ago a huge drop in that price because we'd seen a spike, but this, I think, has reignited that flight to safety. Markets, I think, is from, again, being very broad brush, we've seen the Far East react far more significantly. Japan, Korea, India falling quite significantly, although last time I looked this morning, they had all bounced back. Again, Korea being the most significant bounce back when I looked an hour or so ago, was up 11% this morning, while US and UK, and indeed most of Europe, has been far more muted in their responses so far. And again, it sounds like perhaps I'm belittling what's going on. That's not, as I always say to people, I'm trying to look at this just purely from how markets are reacting to what's going on.
You're taking emotion out, aren't you?
That's what we always try to do. And again, living here at the moment, that's quite hard to do. But if we say UK fell a couple of 100 points over 2 days yesterday, it was back up 100 points. The US similarly. The S&P and the Dow Jones. Now you could argue, why aren't they falling? But clearly at the moment, the analysts and the view is that I would hope, I'm taking it as being the eternal optimist, that they're viewing this as a short-term situation that hopefully we'll find a resolution and then things will return to whatever normal may be. Again, if this continues for a longer period of time, then obviously we could well see more significant impact on markets.
And then you would encourage re-evaluation, I suppose,
Yes,
with your clients.
but if I made to take that step back, the wider view, at the moment, my view is to stay invested. Let's not make any panic moves. And indeed, Korea being a prime example, we see some falls, and then we've seen a very significant bounce back. And again, always with crises like this, like COVID, like the financial crisis, like the dot-com bubble, all of these significant events where markets take significant falls, my view is always stay invested, because the recovery happens very sporadically. It's not going to be a nice, gentle return back to normality, whatever that may be. It will bounce, it will move up, it will move down, it will remain volatile. But if you stay invested, you will then, I'm hopeful, and there's no reason to think it won't be. If we look back on this in 5 years' time, it will be a distant memory, and markets will have recovered and carry on their upward trajectory.
Well, let's hope so.
We do. And again, as I say, I keep wanting to caveat, I'm not suggesting any of this is not serious. Of course, it's very serious. And here we are sitting here in amongst the events that are going on. But it's from the global perspective and where your money is invested, it's still, the view is not to panic, not to sell, stay invested. Just remember why that money was being invested in the first place. Those goals, those aspirations won't have changed in a 3-5 week, 7-day period.
Do you know, before you come into that, I mean, I do this most of the time, but I'd like jot down a few points. I want to, don't forget to ask this, and my thing here. Finally, the point is, and I'm trying to anticipate what you're going to say. Finally, the point is, don't panic.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the sensible approach, isn't it?
It has to be. I mean, because again, what does panicking achieve?
It's a good point. It doesn't get you any further forward, does it?
If it doesn't get you further forward, you sell everything, then what? Move it into cash. Okay, well, that's a short-term position. But as again, I'm being the eternal optimist, things do get resolved. Markets settle down, oil price finds its threshold, gas becomes more available again, then things will return to where they were.
And hopefully you've followed the diversification mantra in your
Exactly.
portfolio.
So your portfolio is in all of the areas we've just discussed and others.
Sure.
Therefore, even if there are falls in certain areas or things have remained flat, your portfolio will have been able to absorb that, not be so badly hit, because you haven't picked individual stocks, you're in funds, you're well diversified. Your investments are going to be okay.
Let me ask you a little bit about clients, the people that you've been speaking to. I mean, you live here. Your clients, I guess most of your clients...
Yeah, most of my clients are here. I do have clients around the world, but the vast majority are here, yes.
So vast majority are here. Just how people feel about where we are now, because you mentioned COVID just now. I was talking to a strategist, leadership strategist earlier, and I kind of said to him, look, COVID was almost a test case for the attitude to crisis management that we have here from the authorities. And his point was, well, look at how successful this crisis is being managed. Look at how successfully the COVID crisis is being managed. I mean, people have been, far more intelligent heads than you or I.
Absolutely.
Have sat together and
formulated a plan. There's clearly, and again, we need to give the local authorities here huge credit and kudos, because, again, one would like to think that this isn't a regular occurrence, and yet immediately the safety system sprung into effect.
Well, it's the concerted effort, isn't it? It's a coordinated effort.
Coordinated. They knew what to do. Everyone, it didn't appear, and again, who am I to comment, but from my humble position. Doesn't appear to be any panic. Everyone seemed to know what to do. Okay, there has been a few isolated incidents, but the vast majority of anything that's been sent this direction has been dealt with.
It's a very, very high, it's 99.9% interception rate, I
and again,
believe.
That is outside of my scope of expertise, but if you compare it to that COVID crisis, absolutely, what happened there? There was a plan. Everyone knew what to do. The authorities had very, very quickly up to speed, decided what was going to happen, and implemented it.
Well, it's been a very transparent effort as well,
Yes.
I think. And to anybody watching on YouTube now who is of a mind to say, you just pay to say that. No, it's not the case. We live here, and so we're living the experience. But I'm interested in what your clients, how
So to answer that
people
directly,
feel.
so far, clients I sent out a communication to every client just to say, here are my views, but please contact me. And the ones that I've spoken to and met with.
I got your newsletter. Was it yesterday?
Yesterday,
wasn't it? Yeah. I got that. I saw that.
Again, I'm saying like I blow my own trumpet. All have been relatively calm, certainly when it comes to their finances.
Mm-hmm.
Let's exactly follow the advice. Let's stay invested. There's no need to panic. This is a long-term investment. This is a 10, 20, 30, 40-year strategy. What's going on today should not directly influence where I'm going to be those many years in the future.
Okay.
So yes, there's been no panic, been no. I've certainly had no requests. Let's sell, let's exit everything, get out. No, that's certainly not been the case.
I've always wanted to be that guy that gets on the phone to his broker and shouts, "Sell!" or alternatively, buy. But I've just never got to that point in my life. But I mean, it's good. It's good to hear from you because it's this is we see a lot of stuff on social media. Anecdotally, things are passed around, but to talk to somebody who is in the industry, talking to people directly how they feel about their money, that's important.
Yeah, I've been talking to both sides. So I've sat in. Again, normally I try and avoid most of them, webinars and seminars.
You've just said that out loud.
I know I have. But I get invited to many, and a lot of them are, I won't say repetitive, but there's a lot, there's only so many times.
Not the greatest use of time on some occasions.
Yeah, and a lot of the stories are very similar. So I
Sure.
pick and choose and maybe do one or two a week just to keep my knowledge up. But I have sat in 3 or 4 already this week.
Right.
But the general guidance is, we feel the UAE is well placed. The facilities here are still all functioning. But if we're looking at world markets, as I say, they are being guided by many other factors as well.
Yeah, sure.
And so we just need to stay calm, don't panic, remind yourselves why you're invested. And unless you need immediate access to those funds, but again, if you've followed the strategy that we would have put in place, you've got that emergency capital, so you shouldn't need to dip into your longer term savings.
Let's move on to banks and AI, which is the story that we were going to come on to last week.
That was the headline we thought was of interest, and obviously this has vastly overtaken.
It has, and we just didn't get time to get to this last week, but I think this is really interesting. I was talking to I talked to an expert on AI earlier, completely different topic, but misleading information and the effect that disinformation, misinformation, and AI-generated video content can have.
Yep.
This is not about that, but it is interesting that the UAE Central Bank have basically taken a position that human interaction is still essential. AI is going to come into, and it's going to change how we interact with our banks. It's already doing it. We all know that. But the UAE Central Bank says you need the people there. And I would argue that's a really good position to have because, I think I've complained to you on a number of occasions how frustrating it is talking to bank systems online. That drives me insane.
The theory is fantastic.
It is great, yeah.
But the reality sometimes does not.
Doesn't match,
doesn't match. That's the word I'm looking for.
This morning is full of
I just
euphemisms.
thought that's one of the reasons why I highlighted this as a news story to discuss, because you and I perhaps slightly older, not as down with the kids, so to say.
Speak for yourself.
And the tech, we want to speak to a human. I've got this query, please can you help?
I'm going to start calling you bro just to dispel any rumours that that's true.
And but it was just a really interesting story that from the highest level in the UAE, the central bank were effectively saying the same thing. The banking still requires human interaction, talking to a person, someone who can look at your account and answer the query that you've raised.
Do you know what's really good, what is good about this? I mean, the story is essentially the central bank. These are the 8 ways that AI rules will change how you bank in the UAE, and the central bank position is that human interaction is essential. But it's good for one overriding reason, as far as I can see. Your money is emotive.
Of course, it's one of the health, money, politics.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? And to deal with a human being who perhaps can offer you empathy, and this is something that AI is really probably going to struggle to do for some time. That's the essence of why the human interaction is so key, and recognizing that, I think, is a really important step.
I mean, again, I'm just reading back through number 6 on the 8 points. Humans must stay in control, which really comes to that. AI cannot operate on autopilot. The rules require effective human oversight, meaning automated systems must be supervised and open to review or intervention when needed. I don't know whether you've done it. You try to go through to your bank and you're pressing the various options. Thank you very much, goodbye, and it hangs up on you. And I'm like, hang on a minute, I haven't actually even. So then you've got to ring up again, put all your passwords and your account numbers, and there's another 10 minutes gone.
It's before that. That's when you pick up the pieces of the phone that you've just broken because you flung it at the wall in frustration.
Yes.
But no, and it's it's funny this, because I look at a lot of regulation from central banks. They're monoliths in some ways.
Indeed.
It's just the central bank. It's not really a person.
Who is it? What is it? It's a what, not a.
It's a what, not an is.
Yes.
Yeah. And somebody sat and thought about this, and they've been through the frustrations that we face and recognised, again, the point that money is emotive and you need to be able to talk to somebody. So it's that, how this develops the chain, the AI chain, so that, okay, you can get so far. If you just want to activate a new credit card, AI is probably great for that. If you just want to, I don't know, effect an address change and the system recognise you and you do that, that's probably okay. But if you need to talk through anything that could be slightly more complicated than that, you need to talk to somebody that knows how to do it for you. Yeah.
And even if they don't, you can raise that query so that you can.
So that you get a resolution.
So you get a resolution, as opposed to disappearing into a black hole and never ever being able to get your query dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at this. I mean, does it mean we're going to see processes slow down because there's more oversight? That was one point. And I kind of checked myself and I thought, well, no, hold on a minute. Banks don't want processes to slow down. Banks want processes to move forward.
I'm sure that would be one of their KPIs, is the speed of resolution. So,
well, yeah, it gets it off your back.
Get it off your back, get the tick in the box. That customer's been dealt with efficiently and effectively.
And if you get the chain right, so that you've got AI-enabled, service delivery, and there's a point at which AI-enabled service delivery isn't the way to go, and you have to then have human advisor-enabled service delivery, then that just becomes another part of the chain. It doesn't necessarily slow things down, does it? Because if you've got AI-enabled service delivery, I love that phrase, that doesn't work, and you have to do it again.
Yeah. Then it's duplication and it's not working.
And it's a waste of time. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking about this. So what else did you think about this story? Because
I said your summary was really where I came at it from as well. Right. And again, I perhaps to summarise is that it was the bottom line, as it's phrased in the article here. According to the central bank, the guidance aims to establish a clear framework for the responsible use of artificial intelligence and machine learning in the financial sector, while reinforcing governance, transparency, human oversight, and data protection. So it's exactly what you've said there. It's to speed things up, to help the process, but not to remove that human contact as and when it's needed.
And could also be something that extends to, or slightly further into, I guess, government services as well, if this is being thought of at these levels. And maybe even, wouldn't this be great, insurance?
Absolutely, that would be great.
I saw your little eyes light up there. So it's just a really interesting story, I think, and it's something that I wanted to talk to you about. Unfortunately, that's all the time we got, James, but I appreciate you coming in. James Thomas is an independent financial consultant and advisor, and he is keeping calm and carrying on.
Absolutely, thank you.
Something like that.
Something like that.
This is Mira Business FM.